Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Our lecture today is reviewing the technique, and it is the last lecture in the audio-lingual method. It is all the information here in this lecture are repeat information we have studied before in the experience, in the reviewing the principles and the other lectures. Okay, we will start here with the dialogue memorization. Always in the audiolingual method, it's the teacher starts with dialogue or short conversation between two people, and students should memorize these dialogue or these short conversation by mimicry, by imitating the teacher. Okay, and the teacher may play the role of one of the person on the dialogue, and the students, the whole class, play the role of the other person in order to memorize the lines of the dialogue, all the lines. Then the teacher and the students switch the roles. This will help students to memorize all the lines on the dialogue. Another way of practicing the two lines, the teacher may divide the class in two halves. One half will practice the first person line, and the second half will practice the other person. After the dialogue has been memorized, a pair of individual students may perform. The teacher may ask students two by two to perform the dialogue, but not all the students will do or will perform the dialogue. In the audiolingual method, certain sentences pattern or grammar points are included. Some sentence patterns or grammar points are included in the dialogue, and they will work on when they go to the drill parts. Backward build-up drill. This drill is used when there is when it's difficult for students to produce a long line or to work on or to pronounce a long line of the dialogue. So the teacher use the backward build-up drill, and here the teacher divide the long sentences into, or breaks down the sentence into several parts, and the students repeat a part of the sentence, usually the last phrase. The teacher starts rebuilding the sentence starting with the last phrase, and the students following the teacher cue. The students expand what they are repeating part by part until they are able to repeat the entire line without problem, pronouncing correctly and without any problem. The teacher began with the part at the end, okay, to rebuild the sentence, the long line. Repetition drill. Students are asked to repeat the teacher's model, and here, as we explained before, that the teacher model is, or one of the important teacher role is a model for his students. So students have to copy or to repeat the teacher model as accurately as and as quickly as possible. This drill is often used to teach the line of the dialogue. Repetition to help students to memorize, not only to memorize the dialogue, but to memorize correctly, to imitate, to copy the model of the teacher. Chain drill. A chain drill gets its name from the chain of conversation, okay, that form around the room as students one by one ask and answer question of each other. The teacher initiates this drill or began this drill by greeting or asking a particular student, maybe the students sitting close to the teacher, close to her. Okay, these students respond, then turn. When the students respond to the teacher and finish conversation with the teacher, then turn to another students, to the students sitting next to him or to her, and start to do the same thing, greet or ask questions. A chain drill, it's important for both, for the teacher and for students. Okay, for students it allows some controlled communication, even though it's limited. So it gives students opportunity to communicate, to practice the target language. And it's also important for the teacher, give the teacher an opportunity to check each student's speech. Okay. Single slot substitution drill. The teacher say a line, usually from the dialogue. Next, the teacher say a word or phrase. For example, I'm going to the post office, and the teacher provide cues: bank, station, school, supermarket. These cues students have to change the cues that the teacher provide them into, or to fit it into the line of the dialogue. The students repeat the line the teacher has given them, substituting the cue into the line in its proper place. Okay. The major purpose of this drill to give students practice in fitting and filling the slot of the sentence. The most important thing, to understand where to put the cue and to use it correctly. This is for single slot substitution. Multiple slot substitution is similar to single slot substitution, but here we have multiple slot, 2 or more places to replace a cue. Okay, so the difference is that the teacher give cue phrase one at a time that fit into different slot, okay, in the dialogue. For example, the teacher sometimes provide he or she or it, sometimes give bank, school, supermarket, and so on. So students should understand where to put, where the fit place for the cue that the teacher provide. The students must recognize what part of speech each cue. Okay, it's a subject, it's a verb, it's an adjective, for example, or a complement in the sentence, or at least where it fit into the sentence. Okay, yes, and make any other change. When, for example, the teacher give them a cue he or she, okay, and the sentence is I am going to the post office. So when they use he or she, they have to change what? The verb to be I am going. So the sentence will be he is going or she is going. Okay, so here the students and make any other change such as subject, verb, agreement. Okay. Transformation drill. The teacher gives students a certain kind of sentence pattern. For example, an affirmative sentence to be changed into a negative sentence, or for example, a statement into a question, or an active sentence into a passive one, or a direct speech into a reported speech. This is the transformation drill. It's also an important drill that students have to work on to change the form or the type of the sentence. Question and answer drill. This drill gives students practice with answering questions. The students should answer the teacher question very quickly. It's also possible for the teacher to cue the students to ask a question. Students are not always answer question, but they should also learn to ask a question, because this is a method that students should learn to communicate, and communication need to be able to ask, need a person to be able to ask and to answer a question, not only to answer. So this is also an important drill for students to know how to ask a question as well as to answer them. Use of minimal pairs. The teacher works with pair of words which differ in only one sound. For example, ship, sheep. Students are first asked to perceive the difference, to understand, to know the difference between the two words, or in the sound between the two words, and later to be able to say the two words correctly. Okay, so this drill is concerned with the pronunciation, correct pronunciation in the audiolingual method. Complete the dialogue. Selected words are erased. The teacher may erase selected words from the dialogue and ask students to fill in the missing words. Okay, here the teacher will check the students' memorization of the dialogue. The students, if they memorize the dialogue correctly, so they will fill in these blanks correctly without any problem or mistakes. The last drill is the last exercise is the practice is the grammar game. Games like the supermarket alphabet game described in this chapter are used in the audiolingual method. Okay, the games are designed to get students to practice a grammar point with a context. Okay, so it's not a game only, but it's language learning through games. It's the students will practice a grammar point within a text. Okay, I'm going to the supermarket, I need apples. Okay, and then they continue to develop their ability in communication in the target language. Students are able to express themselves, to talk about themselves. I'm going to the supermarket, I need these things. Okay, note there's also a lot of repetition in this game, and repetition is important in the audiolingual method to help students to memorize phrases, sentences, and the whole dialogue. Okay, so grammar game is the last point the students work on, and it's important for them to practice grammatical or grammar point within a text, and to also to repeat them many times to be able to memorize them. And this is the last point here. Thank you for today, and next time inshallah we will start with the communicative language teaching on page 115. I want you to read the introduction and the experience for next time. We will start with the communicative language teaching, CLT, and thank you for today. Goodbye.